Welcome to the NerdLore podcast. We talk stories, theories, and lore. Tonight, I'm one of your two hosts, Shiny Shoes.
I'm MollyKanHas. I'm the other one.
You see, normally we were joined by ElectricAdriland and Crashstarling, but they're not here tonight. They're here with us in picture and spirit, if you watch the YouTube videos. Tonight, me and Molly are going to go over some basic questions that we have, just some kind of nerd stuff that we think that we really want to talk about at this time. So I feel like I would like to lead us off with first question to you, Molly, and then I'll answer after. What fictional character do you look up to? I know that's weird, right?
Oh no, I was like, oh no, that's a tough one. What fictional character do I look up to?
Or, maybe you envy them.
Look up to Brienne of Tarth because she's very tall.
Where's the tall lady?
Also, yeah, the big lady, the big lady.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, I don't want to stick with her because that universe is so depressing.
Yeah. I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet. I'm pretty sure she's one of the folks that's made it out. Like,
the books. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
let's not talk about that. Anyway,
They'll finish one day.
Different. Okay, I'm gonna go with Steven Universe from Steven Universe.
Okay.
So, have you seen Steven Universe?
Yes, but I wouldn't say that I'm an avid fan. I have seen it, but I've never sat down to be like, I'm gonna watch this all the way through.
Fair enough. Well, I really love that show. I have like 5 figures from it on my desk right now.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, I thought of him because he's a kid, and I usually don't care about kid characters too terribly much. But I think he's actually like he's like a good role model, and he like goes through the full range of emotions, but he still deals with them, and he's like very optimistic, and he, I don't know, takes on a lot, and he's like, I don't want to say brave because he gets scared too, but he still does the things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Non-judgmental, and I admire that.
100%.
Who isn't non-judgmental, but I try to be.
Listen, I try to not be judgmental, but I see people in white after Labor Day, and I'm like, oh, hold on.
You think you are?
Yeah, calm down a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, fair. So I had like a bunch of answers to this. Like, I was thinking about this today because there's a bunch of them that I like to take things from different individuals, different things.
Sure.
But I think like final answer, if I look at like all the forms of nerd media that I've taken in, I think I really want to go with Snape from Harry Potter. I know that's a crazy thing, but like, hear me out. Like,
what was your favorite part about him? Was it that he obsessed about a girl who clearly wasn't interested in him more romantically, or is it the fact that he bullied children unapologetically based on what he thought of their parents?
The bullies children part's up there for me. I really like that. No, like, so, I get on the internet and you read a lot of stuff. You read a lot of like behind the stuff and like things that you might have missed and everything else like that. But like, really, if you look at it, Snape did a lot of things to really develop Harry as a character. And you know that he probably stood for everything that Snape hated in the world. Like, he was his father's son, and he was kind of a jerk.
Glasses.
Yeah, wears glasses.
Didn't have greasy hair.
Yeah, I hate all that. Literally, he's the reason that this guy, like, the love of this guy's life died. But he did everything, like, move forward to kind of, you look at his actions saved Harry on multiple occasions, but
For sure.
he begrudgingly, like, he doesn't like Harry. Or, well, I can't say that because by the end, he probably loves Harry. But, like, he's someone who took everything that went wrong, everything bad in his life, and still went forward and did the right thing, you know? Even all the way up to the end. Like,
I can respect that. Like he made some wrong turns because he was a Death Eater, like sincerely for a while, but then he did it in service of the other side later.
Yeah.
And he did protect Harry despite everything else because he was Lily's son, right? That was the
So, like, I don't know, I think that just, like, someone who we learn to hate throughout an entire series. Like, you just hate him because he's a dick. But, like, this dude took a lot of time and did the right things as it went through. Even when it comes to the very end, when he has to do what he does in the fifth book, at the end of the fifth book, when he has to do that. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it.
cool. If you haven't seen it in Harry Potter, who are you?
Yeah.
Must have all been spoiled by now.
Pick up a book, but, you know, even when he kills Dumbledore, he knows that he has a part to play. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't want to do it, but you could still see that Dumbledore knows he has to do it. He knows he has to do it.
And he does it, yeah.
Yep. And then, you know, he even steps up so that Malfoy doesn't have to do it. Like, if a lot of people don't remember that, but it was actually Malfoy had to do it or they were going to kill his family, but he did it so he didn't have to. I mean, I just think...
so Malfoy could protect his innocence.
Yes. I think as a character, there's so many layers to that individual that it just... It's really good. Now, it's different from the movie and the books, of course. If you read the books, there's a lot more going on to this individual than what we just got from the movies. But I'm a big fan. So,
all right.
That's what I got.
I can respect that.
There were some way easier answers, way more like, oh, this guy's a hero, this guy does this, but, like, I think that's the one that it's like, you know how you have those hills that you'll die on? That's one of mine. Like, he was a good... At the end of it, I will die on the hill that Snape wasn't that bad. So.
Wasn't that bad. I'm like, I mean, yeah, there's whole sections of fan fiction websites that wouldn't disagree with you either, and, you know, definitely have him and his dad hate fucking each other. So, like,
yeah, fair.
There's room for everybody. Also, I just have to say about you not watching Steven Universe, like, what the fuck? No, I'm just kidding. But you know that the creator, like, loves Dragon Ball. It is clearly inspired by so many things in Dragon Ball.
Okay, man, like, here's the problem.
Like, okay,
I don't have time for any of this anymore. Like, there's so many things on my, like, to watch list. Even, like, Adventure Time. I think Adventure Time's really funny, but I haven't watched most of it because I just don't have time. The other day I saw Courage the Cowardly Dog and I was like, I'm gonna watch through this. I got through 2 episodes, then I'm out, like, shopping at Walmart again. So, like, I'm an old man now. I got responsibilities. I don't want it.
Yeah, you're right. I'm like, that's fair, because I loved Adventure Time, but I haven't finished it yet. And I probably got about halfway through it at some point. Same thing. It was like, yes, life gets in the way.
I bought like the first 13 seasons box set of Supernatural. That's how into it was. Like, I watched all of Supernatural. And then it got to season 13. I got busy.
13 seasons.
Bro, I think there's like 16 or 17.
No, it's 15.
Oh, okay.
To 15.
Yeah, I didn't finish it.
I'm still on season 10. I haven't finished it either.
I still don't know what happens. And it's been done for like a year. What's going on? So, yeah, I feel it's life.
Yeah, I get it.
So, what'd you got?
Okay, my first question. If you had to time travel to a historical era in the past, that's why I said historical, and I'm going to say it again because I don't want to that future bullshit. What year or era would you pick, and why?
Oh man, this is so like I've thought about this, but here's the problem. First of all, my skin gets really dark really fast in the sun, so like I've got to deal with that a little bit. But like outside of that, oh god, it's so difficult because like there are certain like quirks I have that I just couldn't imagine in the olden times. Like I take a shower every morning. Like the moment I get out of bed, it's straight to the shower. Then when I get home from work, it's another shower. And that was mostly a lot because of COVID, but like I've gotten used to it now. I couldn't imagine going like to a time where it's just like I haven't had a bath in 4 days. Yeehaw.
So maybe like the 90s.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, that. Oh my God. Perfect answer.
What I'm saying, I said, it doesn't have to be that far back. Like you can just be like, I want to be 30-something years old in the 90s.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like I was a kid in the 90s, so I didn't have money to buy all the nerd shit. Like Pokemon when it first came out, stuff like that. I didn't have money for that. If I was 30 then, I can go back to then now with all of my adult money and buy things just to know that now it'll be like worth a lot and I could have stuff. So I think that'd be good. But I think that's a cop-out answer. So I'm going to say I want to go back to like maybe like when was like the Oregon trip? 1864? When did Lewis and Clark go across the old USA?
I think that was in, I don't know.
Louisiana Purchase 17. No, that's too late. 18 foot.
I mean, okay.
I want to go back and I want to journey with Lewis and Clark. That's the time period.
I do think Oregon became a state after the Civil War.
Okay.
Because I know a lot of the losers of the Civil War ended up coming here, which is unfortunately why Oregon has a really racist history. But yeah. I think that it was before that because they must have, I think they did it in like the 1840s or something. This is when Lewis and Clark did their thing. But
okay, that's my answer then because I want to travel with them
1840s.
From Missouri. I just want to see if I can make it. Like, I don't want to die of dysentery. I want to make...
Like, I'm Sacagawea's cousin. Yeah. What's up?
Dave Jawea.
Dave Jawea.
Sorry, David Jawea. You're right. It's formal. You can call me Dave.
The formal, yeah.
I think that's it. Not 100% sure, though. What about you? When are you going back to?
Oh yeah, because I feel you. I'm like, women and the roles that they had. So then in some of the prior eras were not my favorite choices. So
yeah,
I'm thinking though. I kind of think this isn't that far back either. I kind of think the 20s would be awesome because it was right before everything went to shit and in the Great Depression, and there was like some prohibition, so that's fun.
Oh yeah,
you're like, haha, we're sneaking into the speakeasies to get drunk and
bootlegging.
Yeah, women were trying out short hair. Yeah, they were starting to do more like erotica and stuff because the people were getting better access to cameras. I'm like, that's like now porn is so easy to find. It'd be so exciting then to be like, oh my god, look at these nude photos.
She hadn't a naked lady on her wall. I was about to say phone.
Talked about in the 20s. Yes.
I was about to say phone, and I was like, hold on. Those didn't come out till at least the 30s.
Red book. Like a naughty book.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just like things like that would be so exciting. Or like women having shorter hair be such a novelty that it just isn't anymore. Shit like that. I don't know.
That's a good point. I think like the bootlegging at that time, and then like I don't know, every movie from the 20s, it's like a shootout every day, so that could be exciting as well. Like
super exciting. And since I know what's gonna happen, at the end of the 20s, I just get involved in one toward the end and, you know, end my life in the most exciting way possible. So I don't have to worry about the depression that's about to follow.
You know, I wonder, like, I try not to think about going back and, like, knowing things and, like, manipulating. Because, like, oh, man. Could you imagine if I just went back with all the money I have now and just, like, yeah, let's put it all in Apple. Then just let it ride.
I mean, no, that would be great. Like a few decades after the 20s and the 20s, where you're like, yes, I've got an apple orchard. I don't know, but all in apple.
Yeah,
100%. Send a message back to your past self, and it went too far back to your ancestors, and they got a note that said, "Put it all in apple," and then you're like, I don't know, now I'm an apple orchard bearing. Some things got crossed.
I wake up and I own just one small apple farm. My family's depressed because our only source of income are these apples. Nobody wants them because we never learned how to do apples. We just bought the farm because we thought it'd be great. This will pay off one day. Didn't.
Apple.
Yeah.
Nope.
Oh, that's really good. All right. So my next question. I've been looking into this and like kind of reading into it. And this might be a whole nother episode, but so, you know, they name periods and stuff like that. So we talked about the Great Depression, 2007, 2008, the Great Recession. There are economists that are coining this as the Great Resignation. So many people.
That.
Yes.
Sorry.
So many people are quitting their jobs. They're finding better jobs. They're just choosing not to work for these low wages and everything else like that. So my question is, do you think in our lifetime we will be able to see the effects of capitalism having to treat labor as a commodity instead of just a guarantee? Like, will they have to actually chase talent?
I think that there's some of that happening already. I mean, even like it's been memed to heck, but like McDonald's offering sign-on bonuses. I mean, even just there's like 2 restaurants on the street that are like $1,000 bonuses for line cooks and things like that. I mean, they're already finding that low skill but also low pay traditionally, I should say.
Yeah.
And like types of roles are already becoming insanely difficult to fill. And so, like, I think even like companies going back into the office, I mean, some of the bigger ones, they can really throw their weight around, but a lot of smaller ones, I think, have to listen to their employees right now if they want some of that work from home. And they're like, you always said we couldn't do it. Now we know you were fucking lying.
Yeah. So, and that's the weird thing. They've done all these studies, you know, that there isn't a drop in productivity from the move from the office to the home. No. We're not losing productivity.
There's been an increase in some places because people are not exhausted after doing a ridiculously long commute.
Yeah.
So, but it's stayed stable in most, if not going up.
Yeah. I mean, I drive 45 minutes to an hour to and from work, and I'm already working a 7 to 5, which is 50-hour work week.
Which is a long,
Yeah, it's a 50-hour work week already on top of the 10 hours driving I do. You think about those employees, like you run them down, and then we're wondering why these big companies, these large employers, your major retailers, they're like, we can't find talent. We can't hire talent right now. Well, you never really had talent before. I would argue that you hired individuals that were in need of employment, but now that the actual labor of those individuals is sought everywhere, it's a lot harder to get that low income individual to join in. And there's nothing, I would say, I'm not that person that says, hey, you know, Walmart, Amazon, all those, Target, all those that were paying, you know, lower wages. Those were jobs, and those were moderately well-paying jobs, but they have not evolved as the wages have evolved. So now you can go work at McDonald's for $14 an hour. Fazoli's had a $500 sign-on bonus for Fazoli's.
Exactly. I mean, on top of something else I saw, though, this is, to take it to a depressing direction, is like literally because of the pandemic, the number of available laborers is just lower because a significant, yes, percentage wise, it's not significant, but it is actually a significant portion of the population when we're talking about like over 600,000 people
that's
being dead in a span of a year and a half.
On top of what everything else that happened over this last year. And I know that there's so many people like want to argue with all those silly things, but numbers don't lie. Like we lost 600,000 individuals attributed to this single virus, basically. And if you really, I would love to see studies like where did those individuals work? What were they from though? Because it makes sense to me. They were in the service industry. Why? Because they're going to be
they're the ones that couldn't afford to work from home, or they didn't work in a kind of role where they could work from home, and then they couldn't afford to just not work, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, there you go. That's your fucking labor force.
Yeah.
Also, they should have been treating our labor like it was a commodity the whole time, because it is.
Yes.
Because economics is just the study of limited resources, which all of our labor and time is very much that, but they haven't been treating it like that. Treat it like it's just money, just about money, but it isn't.
It's become such a problem because, the inflation of everything else has raised significantly. And, I don't have a degree in economics. I've taken classes, but like not enough to say, hey, I have this.
Yeah, exactly.
But you look at it and they all argue, well, if we're going to pay them more wages, if we're going to rise their wages, that's only going to drive inflation more. Well, we haven't raised wages and inflation's already gone up by 1-2% a month over the last 9 months. So if that's what's driving it, do you think wages is going to push more on top of that? Like we say, oh, well, you can't do that because, McDonald's is going to charge you $10 for a cheeseburger. Well, what?
They've done the comparisons in the Netherlands, Switzerland, countries where they have that mandated minimum wage, and they get a certain amount of benefits and all of that. And there's it costs like 50 to 75 cents more for the burger. Of course the fucking companies are saying that it increases their costs and they're going to pass it directly onto the consumer, but that's their choice. They do not have to do that to provide people a living wage and still be profitable.
And that's the craziest thing too. Like you figured that should be capitalism 101. If they can't sell burgers for cheaper and you can, then you undercut McDonald's, and guess what? You're the new McDonald's because you can find a way to be successful where they can't. But we don't want to talk about that because that's a little too close to mandating wages, and that's too close to socialism, which is really bad, right? It's a horrible thing.
Right.
So, no, I even like you more so you look into it. So where does this labor force evolve? Where does our current labor force, what does it evolve into? And do we ever bite the bullet in America and move to a 4-day work week? Do we ever find a way to move to a hybrid?
So
could you imagine? I don't care if it's even 4 10-hour days, because we're so wrapped up into this thought process of, you've got to work 40 hours a week to be productive.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'm going to be honest. Guess what? When you've got me working 50 hours a week, not all those 50 hours are going to be productive, and that's on you.
Every operations supervisor will have done. It's like, yes, there's a calculated capacity which removes at least 20% of the associate's actual time, because we already know that humans are humans and they don't work at full capacity 100% of the time that they're clocked in, nor should they also, because that would be insane. Some places try to act like they should, but they shouldn't.
Yep.
But it's like, if the work gets done and the bottom line isn't changing, like even from a budget perspective, or like a company, that's just driven to make more money, it's like, whatever. If you need your employees to be using less resources, but they're doing the same amount of output and generating the same amount of revenue, why shouldn't we do that? Oh, because they think that they can just keep squeezing more and more and it'll go up. And it's like, you don't, if that hasn't been happening, why would it start happening now? And
I have my boss. He's very right leaning and very almost to the point of like libertarian right leaning, and which that's fine, because I actually don't mind libertarian. I like libertarian a lot more than I like pure Republican, due to the keeping religion out of a lot of their decisions as libertarians. I'm a big fan of that. But like, all the time, because we'll have these arguments back and forth, and I mean, he's a very intelligent individual, so he can articulate his points pretty well usually, but he always calls me comrade. Comrade Anthony. He's like, listen here, comrade, that isn't just how it's going to work. And I'm like, no, it's not. That isn't how it's worked because we say that's not how it worked. Think of all the times, and I tell them this all the time, I'm like, listen, if we're in a culture or community where the work's done, we can go home, me and you would already be home right now. We're done for the day. You're finding things for me to do. Like, well, yeah. Like, so, I mean, that's just my big thing. Where can we take this and evolve? That's what I'd like to see. When we continue to be comrade.
I'm like, get real socialist with this, because I think that one of the more ethical paths forward, I should say, because obviously, like, as I've established, I'm not a political science expert by any means. I'm just a person who likes to say things on the internet. But like the universal basic income.
Oof. Could you imagine?
I know, but it's like people act like that'd be so terrible, or it wouldn't foster innovation, and it's like, of course it would, though. Like, a universal basic income would not be living lavishly. No. I mean, it's like it'd be keeping people from being homeless, having enough food to get by, but it's like, yes, then people would be very motivated, I think, like, to go ahead and go out and do more. And if they're not, then they're not. So what? Then let them sit in their houses and do whatever the fuck they want all day. Yeah. Who cares? They're not out, like, doing crime.
Yeah, you're not doing the crimes. Like, I think about like the pure situation like I'm in through my life. So I go to school, literally don't have like family there around me. The day I turn 18, move out on my own, get my own place. It was not fiscally even a thing for me to go get a degree. Like, I started college on my own, and I was paying out of pocket for all these classes. Like, just paying out of pocket, trying to go in there, because the loan rates at that time in 2007, yikes, like, that was a whole other thing.
Yikes.
But like, I remember I was sitting in a class with the guidance counselor. She came in, she was talking to our class, and she's like, what are you in college for? And she went around the room asking everybody, what are they in college for? What are you here for? And we're in community college, and I can't tell you how many people in the room just said, I'm here because I need to be able to make more money. None of those individuals were actually trying to get a job in a career they wanted. Most of them just wanted money. I went to school for nursing because nursing made me enough money that I could live comfortably. I didn't make it. I mean, I'm not a nurse. Yeah. But like,
I started nursing too. I was a pre-nursing.
Yeah.
And I left it because I just didn't want to do it enough.
Yeah, same. I didn't want white butts and everything else. I was like, I can make a lot, but then I found other ways to make a lot of money. So I was like, let's do this instead. But if I could go for a career I wanted, like, think of if I would have graduated and they said, Anthony, what do you want to do? I'd be like, well, I want to become a speech pathologist. Okay, universal basic income can take care of your basic needs. You may need to get a part-time job to supplement yourself just so that you have enough to get by. But while you're getting this degree, you can live. You can still experience life that isn't living in a box. Like, living. I can eat spaghetti 2 nights a week off this universal income, whereas, but instead that wasn't an option. That was.
And imagine if you, like, even people who really want to be nurses or something, or want to be doctors, but they can't because they have to make too much choice between their labor and energy resources and their need to get by. It's
like a mass amount of debt that would put you in even do that.
To say nothing of the debt, on top of everything else. Like, it's like if those people had a universal basic income where they could do that, we might have more domestic doctors. Not that I say that there's nothing wrong with having immigrant doctors, by the way, to be clear. I'm just saying part of the reason we have a medical professional shortage is because not enough people who were born here want to go through with it, because there's too much barrier to entry for that. So we end up having a lot of people we say, yes, please immigrate here because you are a doctor, and fuck, we need more of them.
Yeah.
Like
8+ years of schooling, over $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 in debt just for doing it. And like, there's so much that goes even deeper than that, like the ability to just do it. I remember like in high school I was dating a girl and she was like, hey, you're gonna come to college with me, right? And we're gonna go to the same college. And I was like, it just depends where you go. And then she went out to like
oh girl, no.
yeah, she went out to a college like out in the middle of the the state that we lived in, way far away from where I lived. I'm like, I can't go there and make a living. And like, and I was trying to explain, like, so during like winter breaks, when you're done, you go home to your family. I don't have that. So during winter breaks, I have to live there and everything else. She's like, well, you can come home with me. And I'm like, listen, it's not that, it isn't going to last forever, but hedging all my bets on that one thing, that isn't a smart decision that I needed to make at that time. But like, think about that. Like, could I just go wouldn't have been a speech pathologist? And you always get that argument, that oh well, if we pay for their college, they're going to take stupid stuff. Like someone's going to become a professional underwater basket weaver. Oh fuck, good. Go do that. If that's what you want to do, if you can find a way to make money on it, I don't care. Yeah, what does that matter to me? And they're like, well, that's going to be wasting our taxpayer money. But dumbass, they're already wasting your tax money anyway.
I'm like, I already don't feel super good about how a large chunk of it is spent right now. So
yeah, great. But I mean, craziest thing, Walmart. So Walmart came out and they said, hey, we're paying for our associates' tuition. Part-time, full-time, we don't care. The funniest thing I saw from this was a meme, and it was literally like a little TikTok, and it just said Army recruiters after hearing that Walmart's going to pay for college, and you just see a guy just sweating. You're like, well, just think about it. I mean, then if we pay for tuition, what's to draw them into that? And that's a whole other topic there. So that got a good conversation there.
I was like, I'm just going this wormhole now. Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, what is your last question?
Okay, well, it's not about. This will be a fucking segue from that.
Oh yeah.
From that. Okay, what conspiracy would you either start from the ground up that you like kind of have, or is there an existing one that you feel like doesn't get enough attention that you would like if you had to pick one that you would?
Okay. So I really like conspiracy theories. I know. If you guys are new to NerdLore, we do a bunch of conspiracy theory episodes. We'll probably have one coming in soon just because they're so fun. So there is a conspiracy theory that prior to the when the dinosaurs were here, just dinosaurs hanging out, there were no bugs on the planet. 0 bugs.
Okay.
Then when the meteor hit, bugs were on that meteor, and that's what brought them to Earth. Bugs.
Oh, shit.
And the meteor hit.
And that's why in Ender's Game they fight bug aliens.
That's right. So the meteor hits, spreads bugs across the planet. They evolve and adapt in different ways. They destroy ecosystems. They are deadly to a lot of animals at the time. The meteor take care of a lot of the dinosaurs. The bugs take care of the rest. It's a really interesting theory, and I read a lot into it. That's just one of the ones that we haven't talked about on the podcast before, and I think it's really fun when you really get into that whole theory.
Oh yes. Oh, I could see that. Wait, what size were these bugs? Were they normal bug size or were they giant at the time? Okay.
You tell me.
I'm like, I think they would be like microscopic. Like we're talking like bacteria shit here.
And they hit the atmosphere and it was like bug steroids. They are real big and strong.
I mean, there's bacteria that can survive. There's bacteria that can survive in extreme conditions. I forget what they're called. I had to learn this in the microbiology class and I forgot. But there's ones that can survive in extreme heat and extreme cold. So there's got to be ones that can survive the going through the
void of space
and the void of
space.
space.
Like you think about it,
don't know oxygen.
You think about it, they'd freeze. Like in space, you freeze. So that that asteroid's frozen, and then it hits our atmosphere, and the explosion of that rock hitting the ground basically enough to heat it back up and thaw them out. Not all of them. There's a possibility. Not all of them could have died from that. You know.
Sure, like the super ones, the super bugs, they survived because they're like, I can be frozen, and then I'm fine. I'm still technically alive, and I didn't squish.
Like roaches, do they survive everything? They're just
I assume that's how roaches got onto the planet Earth.
Yeah, 100.
What you just told us.
Yeah,
like I just learned this today.
Yeah, like I interviewed a roach, and he was like in a bar, and he was smoking a cigarette, and he was like, "I remember the old planet much better."
Like, tell me some details, and he was like, "I don't remember that much." Okay, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's funny. All right, what about you?
An old favorite of mine was that Middle Earth is actually on Earth, because the map that Tolkien did for Middle Earth is based off of I think one of the older formations of the European continent. And you know this?
Yeah.
Have you heard this? Okay, yeah. I was like, I'm not good with my geological periods, so I'm not sure which one, but I know one of them matches the pattern of Middle Earth, and I'm like, that's the one that, like, when I found out about it in high school, I was like, that's the one. Yes, elves, dwarves, they were all here in this period of time, and then like the Ice Age wiped them out or something. I don't know.
That theory, I don't think we specifically talked before. We have talked about the Middle Earth theory, but that theory is specifically that there is an Earth inside the Earth.
Okay, like a much more literal Middle Earth theory.
Yes, but your theory, so that was one of the things I researched when talking about one of our conspiracy theories. So it's awesome because Tolkien's books come from other books. He said that he found a library, and this library was sealed off, and at the bottom of the library there were books recounting the tales of what a lot of the stuff that happened in his books. They were very, very old books, which, I mean, you think about it, there's plenty of things still out in the world that we don't understand.
Yes.
We can't even, like, begin to fathom. So, like, think about even our national forests, like the natural landmarks in America. Well, we have a bunch of them. If you want to be immediately scared of going to them, look at how many people go missing in these parks every year.
Oh, God.
It's
because they got transported to another universe, isn't it?
Possibly. Some people say the Wendigo, like other things like that. Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bigfoot, stuff like that. But, like, look at how many people go missing in these natural forests every year. And, I mean, of course, it could be anything. They got lost, got eaten by wolves, but, like... coincidence isn't necessarily something I believe in too much.
I was like, certainly not, because undereducated and underinformed people go into an area where they don't have any GPS signal and they do things they shouldn't do, and then they die, and then nobody knows what happened to them, and the national parks are so huge they don't find their bodies until much later, or they may not be identified. It is definitely not that, but it is mostly because of Bigfoot and Wendigo abducted by the fairies.
So I don't remember. I don't remember who it was, but I think it was FDR. I'm almost positive it was FDR. He put the parks in a place, and they said that he was part of a secret organization that knew that there were these creatures and stuff that lived in the parks that were able to kill people. So instead of, bears, eagles, instead of going through the forest and hunting these things, he closed off the forest and basically said, hey, you can't live here anymore. So that's part of the theory. It's actually a really good read when you get into it, because like they put together a lot of things that you're like, that's a stretch, but I really like what you're doing there.
But I'm so intrigued. Okay, tell me more. Can I subscribe to your newsletter?
Yeah, 100%. Maybe you guys will hear about some of these on another podcast, because there are some good ones here that have got a lot of fun stuff to talk about. But that has been the NerdLore podcast for today. So you can find us anywhere you find podcasts pretty much. So Spotify, Apple, iTunes. Apple is iTunes. Last FM. I think we're getting on Odyssey. You can also find us on YouTube. If you have any comments, Podbean as well. That's going to be our host site. If you have any better answers to this question, you don't necessarily agree with our points, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. But definitely comment to tell us, hey, this is what I don't agree with. This is what I think would be better. Until next time, I'm Shiny Shoes.
I'm MollyKanHas.
And we will see you guys next week.